She could walk through any dream in the world until she could no longer tell which reality was real, and her choice would determine the fate of both worlds. In the high mesas of the Hopi lands, where ancient pueblos cling to cliff sides like eagles' nests and the wind carries whispers of prophecies older than memory, there lived a woman named Lomasi whose gift was both blessing and curse. Her name meant good flower in the sacred tongue, but the power that bloomed within her was unlike anything her people had ever encountered. Lomasi had been born with the ability to walk through dreams, not just her own, but the dreams of every living soul within the reach of her spiritual awareness. While others slept and experienced the random visions that came with unconsciousness, Lomasi could step consciously into the realm of dreams, moving from mind to mind like a visitor traveling between distant villages. The gift had manifested early in her childhood, beginning with simple incidents that her family initially dismissed as imagination or coincidence. 3-year-old Lomasi would wake in the morning and tell her grandmother about the old woman's dreams with perfect accuracy, describing people and places that the child had never seen in waking life. As Lomasi grew older, her dream-walking abilities expanded dramatically. By the age of 10, she could enter the dreams of anyone in her village, witnessing their fears, desires, memories, and prophetic visions. By 15, her range had extended to encompass multiple villages across Hopi territory. By 20, she could walk to the dreams of strangers hundreds of miles away, exploring the unconscious minds of people she would never meet in physical reality. But with this extraordinary power came an equally extraordinary burden. Dreams, Lomasi discovered, were not just a random firing of sleeping minds. They were doorways into other layers of reality, realms where thought became substance, where emotion took physical form, where the boundaries between self and universe dissolved into something far more complex and mysterious. The more time Lomasi spent in the dream realm, the more she began to understand that what people called reality and what they called dreams were not separate states of existence, but different aspects of a single, infinitely complex truth. The physical world where bodies moved through space and time was just one layer of a multidimensional reality that included realms of pure consciousness, worlds built from collective belief, and dimensions where the laws of physics bent to accommodate the power of imagination. This understanding began to transform Lomasi's relationship with her own existence. When she woke from her dream-walking journeys, the physical world seemed increasingly flat and limited compared to the infinite possibilities she encountered in sleep. The conversations of her fellow villagers about crops and weather and daily chores felt trivial next to the cosmic dramas that played out in the realm of dreams. More troubling still, Lomasi began to notice that her dream experiences were becoming more vivid and memorable than her waking ones. She could recall every detail of the strange world she visited in sleep, but her memories of physical events grew hazy and uncertain. Sometimes she would find herself unsure whether a particular conversation had taken place in the waking world or in someone's dream. The crisis began during the summer of Lomasi's 25th year, when her dream-walking abilities suddenly expanded beyond anything she had previously experienced. It started with a prophetic dream that visited simultaneously to every member of her clan. In this vision, a great drought was coming to Hopi lands, a spiritual as well as physical dry season that would test their people's faith and their connection to the sacred forces that sustain all life. But unlike ordinary prophetic dreams, this one seemed to pull Lomasi directly into its reality. Instead of merely witnessing the vision as an observer, she found herself actually living within the drought-stricken future, experiencing the heat, thirst, and desperation as if they were immediate physical sensations. When she tried to wake from this vision, something unprecedented happened. She couldn't return to her physical body. Lomasi found herself trapped within the prophetic dream, unable to distinguish between the future she was witnessing and the present moment she was supposed to be living. Hours passed, or perhaps days, or perhaps years, as she struggled to orient herself within a reality that seemed to shift and change according to rules she didn't understand. When she finally managed to return to what she thought was a waking world, Lomasi discovered that something fundamental had changed in her perception. The physical realm around her seemed strangely insubstantial, as if she were viewing it through layers of gauze or water. Colors appeared muted, sound seemed distant, and even the sensation of her own breathing felt muffled and unclear. More disturbing still, Lomasi began to experience memories of events that she was certain had never happened in physical reality. She remembered conversations with people who claimed not to recall speaking with her. She remembered participating in ceremonies that others insisted had not yet taken place. She remembered walking to places that she had never physically visited, yet could describe in perfect detail. The boundaries between dream and waking life were dissolving, and Lomasi found herself adrift in a reality where nothing seemed certain anymore. Her family and friends noticed a change immediately. Lomasi, who had always been grounded and practical despite her unusual gifts, began to speak and behave as if she were living in multiple realities simultaneously. She would respond to questions that no one had asked, refer to events that hadn't happened, and sometimes seem to be having conversations with people who weren't present. The tribal elders, recognizing the signs of someone who had become lost between worlds, called upon Hototo, the most powerful medicine man in their region, to help Lomasi find her way back to stable reality. Hototo was a man who understood the dangerous territories that existed between different states of consciousness. He had spent decades learning to navigate the borderlands between waking and sleeping, between individual awareness and cosmic consciousness, between a realm of ordinary perception and the infinite possibilities that lay beyond it. When Hototo examined Lomasi's condition, what he discovered both amazed and terrified him. "Your gift has grown beyond all safe boundaries," he told her during a healing ceremony conducted in the sacred kiva. "You have become so skilled at moving between dream realities that you have forgotten how to anchor yourself in any single state of existence. But which state is the real one?" Lomasi asked, her voice carrying the confusion that had been tormenting her for weeks. "I have memories of living entire lifetimes in what I thought were dreams. I have experienced events in the dream realm that seem more vivid and meaningful than anything that happens in the physical world. How do I know which experiences are true and which are illusion?" Hototo was quiet for a long moment, his weathered face grave with concern. "That question," he said finally, "is the heart of your dilemma. You have discovered something that most humans are not meant to know, that the distinction between dream and reality is far more complex than we usually imagine." He gestured to the sacred symbols painted on the kiva walls, images that represented the Hopi understanding of the multiple worlds that existed within creation. "Our ancestors taught that there are many layers of reality," Hototo explained. "The physical world where our bodies dwell is just one of these layers. The dream realm is another. The world of spirits is a third. The realm of pure possibility is a fourth. And there are others beyond counting. Then which one should I choose to live in?" Lomasi asked desperately. "That is the choice you must make," Hototo replied. "But know this, whatever you choose will affect not just yourself, but the balance between all the worlds. You have become a bridge between realities, and bridges can either connect or divide." Over the following days, Hototo taught Lomasi about the cosmic responsibility that came with her unique position between worlds. As someone who could move freely between different layers of reality, she had the power to influence the relationship between them. Her choices could strengthen the connections that allowed prophetic dreams to guide her people, or she could inadvertently sever those connections and leave her tribe spiritually isolated. But the decision was complicated by Lomasi's growing realization that each layer of reality offered different advantages and limitations. In the physical world, she experienced the groundedness and certainty that came with having a body and existing in linear time. She could touch solid objects, feel the warmth of sunlight, and share immediate experiences with other physical beings. But she was also limited by the constraints of space and time, unable to access the vast knowledge and infinite possibilities that existed in other realms. In the dream realm, she could travel instantly across vast distances, communicate with spirits and entities that had never taken physical form, and experience realities where the laws of physics bent to accommodate the power of consciousness. But dream existence was also unstable and ephemeral, lacking the solid foundation that made long-term planning and relationship building possible. The realm of pure possibility offered unlimited potential for creation and transformation, but it was so vast and formless that individual identity could easily dissolve into cosmic consciousness, leaving no distinct self to make choices or take action. Each reality pulled at Lomasi with its own compelling attractions, and she found herself increasingly torn between worlds that were all equally real but fundamentally incompatible with each other. The crisis reached its peak when Lomasi discovered that her prolonged existence between worlds was beginning to affect the dreams of everyone around her. People in her village began to report unusually vivid and prophetic dreams that seemed to be influenced by Lomasi's presence in the dream realm. Some experienced visions of possible futures that were so detailed and emotionally intense that they had difficulty distinguishing them from waking memories. Others found themselves dreaming about places and people they had never encountered, as if they were glimpsing fragments of Lomasi's multidimensional awareness. Most troubling of all, several villagers reported dreams in which Lomasi appeared to them as a kind of spiritual guide, offering wisdom and prophecies that later proved to be accurate. But when they tried to thank her for these dream visitations, Lomasi had no memory of the encounters and no conscious knowledge of the information she had supposedly shared. It became clear that Lomasi's unstable existence between realities was creating ripple effects throughout the spiritual atmosphere of her region. Her people were becoming as lost between worlds as she was, unable to maintain the clear distinction between dream and waking life that allowed them to function as a coherent community. Hototo warned her that the situation was becoming dangerous for everyone involved. "You must choose," he told her urgently. "Your presence between worlds is creating a spiritual storm that threatens to tear apart the fabric of reality itself in this region. If you cannot anchor yourself in a single layer of existence, the boundary between dream and waking life may collapse entirely for all of us." "But how can I choose?" Lomasi asked desperately. "Each reality contains aspects of truth that the others lack. To choose one would mean abandoning vital parts of my understanding and ability." "Then, perhaps," Hototo suggested, "the choice is not about which reality to live in, but about how to serve the connection between them." This insight opened a new possibility that Lomasi had not previously considered. Instead of choosing to exist primarily in one reality or another, she could dedicate herself to maintaining the healthy balance between all of them. The role that Hototo was suggesting was both sacred and demanding. Lomasi will become a permanent guardian of the boundaries between worlds, ensuring that the connections remain strong enough to allow beneficial communication between realms, while preventing the dangerous blurring that threatened to destroy the distinct nature of each layer of reality. It would mean giving up the possibility of ever living a normal life in any single world. She would exist permanently in the spaces between realities, serving as a kind of spiritual lighthouse to help others navigate safely between different states of consciousness. But it would also mean that her unique gifts would be used in service of something greater than her own experience or confusion. After days of meditation and vision-seeking, Lomasi made her choice. "I will become the guardian of dreams," she announced to the assembled tribal council. "I will live between worlds so that others may move safely between them when the spirits call them to do so." The transformation ceremony that followed was unlike anything in Hopi tradition. Lomasi voluntarily surrendered her attachment to any single layer of reality, allowing her consciousness to become permanently distributed across multiple dimensions of existence. The physical result was both beautiful and unsettling. Lomasi's body remained in the physical world, but became translucent and shifting, sometimes appearing solid, and sometimes seeming to fade into near invisibility. Her voice carried the echo of vast spaces, and her eyes reflected depths that seemed to contain entire universes. But most importantly, the dangerous instability that had been affecting her entire region suddenly stabilized. The boundary between dream and waking life became clear and strong again, while remaining permeable enough to allow the flow of prophetic visions and spiritual guidance that her people needed. Lomasi established her permanent residence in a cave high in the mesas, a place where the physical and spiritual worlds naturally intersected. From there, she could monitor the health of the connections between realities and intervene when problems arose. Visitors who sought her wisdom would find her simultaneously present and absent, her consciousness existing partially in their own reality and partially in dimensions beyond ordinary perception. She could answer questions about the future by accessing the realm of possibilities, provide healing by working directly with the spiritual forces that influence physical health, and offer guidance by drawing upon the collective wisdom that flowed through the dream realm. But perhaps her most important function was serving as a teacher for others who possessed similar gifts. Over the years, several individuals came to Lomasi after experiencing their own crises of reality perception, and she helped them learn to navigate between worlds without losing their grounding in any particular dimension. The tradition that Lomasi established continued long after her physical form finally dissolved back into the cosmic consciousness from which it had emerged. The Hopi people maintained the understanding that reality consisted of multiple layers, and that individuals with the gift of moving between these layers carried special responsibilities to maintain the balance that kept all worlds healthy and distinct. Modern psychologists and consciousness researchers who have studied Hopi dream traditions often note the sophisticated understanding of altered states of consciousness that these teachings represent. The concept of the dream guardian reflects an intuitive grasp of the challenges that arise when individuals become too disconnected from ordinary consensus reality, while also acknowledging the value of expanded awareness that includes non-ordinary states of consciousness. In contemporary terms, Lomasi's story might be understood as a narrative about the importance of integration, the need to find ways to honor and incorporate expanded states of awareness without losing the grounding that allows us to function effectively in ordinary reality. The story also speaks to the broader question of how individuals with unusual gifts or perceptions can use their abilities in service of their communities rather than becoming isolated by experiences that others cannot share or understand. And perhaps most importantly, the tale of the dream walker reminds us that the nature of reality itself may be far more complex and multifaceted than our everyday experience suggests, and that those who glimpse these deeper layers of existence bear a special responsibility to use their knowledge wisely. In the high mesas where the Hopi people still maintain their ancient connection to the spiritual forces that govern the world, elders sometimes point to certain caves or rock formations and speak quietly of the places where the dream guardian once walked between worlds. They say that on certain nights, when the veils between realities grow thin, sensitive individuals can still sense her presence, a consciousness that exists simultaneously in all dimensions, ensuring that the boundaries between dream and waking life remain strong enough to protect ordinary perception, while staying permeable enough to allow the flow of wisdom and vision that connects all living beings to the greater mystery of existence. And sometimes, when someone experiences a particularly vivid or prophetic dream, they wake with a sense that they've been visited by a presence that exists beyond ordinary space and time, a guardian spirit who watches over the realm of sleep and ensures that the messages carried by dreams reach those who need to receive them. This is the way of the dream spirit. This is the way of the Hopi. And this is how one woman's journey between worlds became a bridge that allows all who sleep to touch the infinite possibilities that exist beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception, while remaining safely anchored in the reality that allows them to live and love and serve in a world of form and substance.